noticed you used the word art form quite a few times. Do you consider comedy an art form? And if it is art form, should it be taken seriously, or is it because of its natural kind of, the fact that, it's meant to make you laugh, it's meant to kind of be throwaway? But I mean, how do you feel about that as a performer?
I think it can be an art form, but it's not inherently. For some people, for some comics, it is simply a job. They go on stage week in, week out, and in this way they pay their mortgage, they send their kids to school, and they look at people like me and wonder why we pull our hair out. Just do your jokes and get your money and go home. And that point of view is just as valid as me seeing it as art. Anything can be art if it's done a certain way. Collecting rubbish can be an art form if you do it in such a way where it's artistic, or it can just be a job. Anyone who insists that it's one or the other they have a one-sided view of it.
Would you ever play up to a crowd that prefers sort of cheaper comedy in a way that you'd be doing something that you didn't really truly feel into? Or would you rather do something that you're really passionate about and tackle the issues?
Well, it's funny, I've been dealing with that a little bit lately, and for me to go on and say, this is just how it is with me, this is my truth, and this is what I want to do, there's a degree of arrogance in that. And there's a degree of insensitivity to this group of people you're looking at. Some nights, in certain places, it needs to be more like art. But you have to give room for the fact that if you're in a club, you're often talking to people who've been working all week, they've had 8 years of Bush, Blair, Brown, doom and gloom in the news. They just want to laugh. They don't really need you to wank all over the stage about, whatever it is that your neuroses is. So what you try to do is to reach an accommodation. You try to give them the experience that they want to have, while at the same time being true to something within yourself. You may not be able to do everything you might like to do, but there's an accommodation that can be reached. It doesn't have to, it's such an ego testosterone thing, is I'm going to impose my will on this room and make it just the way I want, which is a good attitude to have if they've paid to come see you for an hour. But if they paid to come see a group of comics on a bill. And I like both, actually. I like the responsibility of guiding a show, leading a show for an hour, but I love going into a club and just being funny, just shaking the room. And as a comic myself, I don't just want laughs, I want a certain kind of laugh. That laugh when it's involuntary, where you don't want to laugh, but you laughing anyway? Oh man, that's like coming. I made you laugh, just, despite yourself. And there are other sounds that I like as well. I like when the audience gasps. I know how to get a cheap laugh. That's one of the first things you learn as a comic. You learn how to get a cheap laugh. But then it's those other sounds that you want. You're going for certain sounds.
When you're writing a joke, will you will it come to you first and then you'll work something around it, or can you just talk about the process of how you assemble a show, maybe?
Well, I'm changing now, but the way it's been for the last few years is I would constantly keep a notebook or a tape recorder nearby, whether I'm out having fun, I'm on a date, I'm with family. And my family and my friends know that I may just stop suddenly and just start writing for 5 or 10 minutes. And they're cool with it. They know that's what I do. And I write the idea, and then I go somewhere later and I try to flesh it out. And I try to see that, for me, and this is a personal thing, but a joke has to have a certain philosophical truth to it. I might have a joke about, I might come up with a funny joke, a hilarious joke about why you should beat women, but I don't philosophically believe that you should beat women, so I can't do the joke. But it's funny, but that's the standard I have for myself. So I philosophically believe you should beat some women, but those are the women who want to be beat. There's some women who, that's the kind of relationship they want, but that's not the vast majority of women. And then after I would flesh it out and look and see it philosophically if it's right and all of that there, I would usually smoke a really big joint and then go back and look at it. And then I know how to make it silly then. I know how to, one of my favorite quotes is from Stanley Kubrick about movies. And he said, "It's easy to know what your film is about. The hard part is covering it up." So it's taking your ideas and your observations and making them silly. It's odd that one of the things about this business is, or any business, or any area of entertainment, is that it can make you, if you're not careful, become extremely self-interested. It can make you take yourself far too seriously. You know, you might be getting phone calls from promoters or agents and somebody calling you about taking some photos, and it's constantly this mad runaround where you get in this cycle where you're taking it all so seriously. And one of the first rules of comedy is that you are there to be laughed at. You have to lose that thing of taking yourself so seriously. I wish that I had learned that earlier in my career. I took myself quite seriously. So.
Okay, just one final last question. What does the future hold for you? Do you ever have any plans to kind of maybe do a TV show or write or radio? Does that not interest you at all?
I don't know what the future holds, and I think it's, at this point I think it's presumptuous to say what the future is with any certainty. I'd like to do all of those things, but I don't want to do those things necessarily on their terms. The deal that television often makes with comedians is, we like you, we love you, we want you to be a part of this. Now we need you to come on and change everything about you. You can't use the language that you use. We got a list of your jokes. You can use jokes 2, 7, 12, 13, and that sort of thing. And in and of itself is not bad. I don't think censorship in and of itself is bad. I think artists, we need censorship in the way that God needs the devil, or Batman needs the Joker. A hero is only as good as his villain. And if censorship actually went away, you would see art really suffer. Art needs something to fight against and to rail against. The problem is that the people who are exacting these standards are coming from a point of view that I don't agree with. Say, for instance, American television is very worried about being sued. British television is worried about getting a lot of letters, a lot of phone calls. I think a way around this is to pick a week out of every 2 months where we can show anything we want on TV. It's anything week. And you let people who need that have that week, and then that lets the uptight people know that they shouldn't watch TV that week, and you know, and we can move on. But the reasons for censorship is fear-based, and it's based on the notion that stupid people may get the wrong idea. If I do a joke that has rape involved in the joke, not advocating rape, but just mentioning rape, a stupid person may hear it and think, I should rape people. He's really cool and I like him. Yeah, I'm gonna start raping people. And I'm just a little tired of the world having the slowest progress down for stupid people. It is the argument that stupid people, or people have against science, is that stupid people may not be able to understand, or they may be afraid, or it's the argument against progressive politics. We have to slow down for stupid people. It's like being a 17-year-old footballer and you're good, but you can only play with 14-year-olds, and you're constantly having to slow your game down and your progress down so you can accommodate these 14-year-olds, which is fine sometimes, but it's a lot. So I don't know. Check me in again in a year. I'll probably feel different.
Yeah, thanks so much. Cheers.
Thank you.